My name's Angela Aquino, and I'm a New York City Public Advocate candidate for 2025. I'm just looking forward for you guys to get to know me and to get to know why I'm running for public advocate. Well, I'm here to answer questions from Christopher, and he has a few questions for me to clarify on my policies and where I stand. Yes, Christopher.
Yeah, so what's your take on congestion pricing?
Well, congestion pricing, based on what I hear in the streets, is not something that New York wants. I personally, as a regular New Yorker making regular money, $15 additional expense every day just doesn't make sense. We just don't want New Yorkers to feel this dent on their pockets, and there's other ways on which we can address pollution here in the city if that is the issue, other than make the people run into the public transportations, which in itself right now is problematic. It's pretty crowded and there's not enough buses, so we cannot count on these alternatives as of now either. So in a nutshell, my position on congestion pricing is that it's not something that New Yorkers want, so therefore it is not something I want as a public advocate.
So what do you think about this current e-bike situation in New York City? E-bike situation in New York City where there's not regulations, there's a lot of accidents.
Again, my stand on that is what New Yorkers want. As of what I hear, there's so much danger, especially our elders, our children, who are not used to this, and the e-bikes are being able to, they don't have license plates, the driver's riding it has no license. So I think that they should be in a certain point regulated, and there should be rules going around it.
So what do you think about the crime in the city?
What specifically about the crime in the city?
About the high crime rate in the city and how the public advocate's not doing anything about it. He's bringing woke policies, he's pushing for policies that's hurting the city and hurting the law enforcement more than helping them. How do you feel about that?
The crime rate in the city is something that is caused by poverty, right? So unless we really address the issue, the main issue, which is poverty, we cannot really address the crime rate. So I think that people just need to have better lives and have more money in their pockets so that they don't have to go to alternatives such as, stealing and stuff like that, or prostitution, in which none of New Yorkers want to do, but some of them are in place in a situation wherein they see this as their fastest route alternative. We also have to work on our emergency and our HRAs, wherein the process is just too much for a lot of New Yorkers, and they don't have the ability or the mental health capacity to answer all those interviews, to go and fill out the paperwork. And frankly, by the time that they're able to fill up all the requirements, they have probably resorted to other alternatives such as criminal acts.
And speaking about crime, what about the hate crimes in the city of New York? How do you feel about that, the hate crimes?
It's so sad to be able to see this. Unnecessary hate crimes. Something that is provoked by, something that you see online, or by something that is so unfair. I think that we have to take a pause, and as politicians and as advocates, we have to hear each other out in a very calming way so that we don't have to resort to hate crimes. I am really disappointed with the way Chumani addressed the hate crimes, the anti-Semitism here in New York City, and that is one factor why I am running also, because I feel that he was not able to, during his time as a public advocate, he was not able to neutralize New Yorkers, which was his job, right? You see all the protests, and I saw the materials, the propagandas that were going on in there. A lot of those propagandas and those materials are, number one, false. They're propagandas that really, fan hate towards New Yorkers. And I think that it was his job to be able to point out these materials, which he did not do. He kept silent. As a matter of fact, he backed up these propagandas of hate we have a problem here, Giovanni, because you have to answer to that. Why these items and why you allowed Colombia, why you allowed the protest to go on in every single part of the city? Why are there propagandas of hate going on in Brooklyn, Giovanni? Like, these are so bad. You know it, you're not blind. And you have people to take a look at these items, and you did not call out these organizations, you know, that's creating all these hate crimes. And now we have something that is very, very, very problematic in both sides, in the Jewish community as well as in the Islam community.
So how you feel about, speaking of crime, how you feel about this in Rikers Island, about Halt Solitary, how Jumaane was the main sponsor for Halt and Solitary in Rikers Island? How you feel about that?
So I will say this, I am from a family of, you know, police officers. My grandfather was a detective. I have uncles that were policemen, and I see how difficult it is. Some of them lost their jobs, and some of them, you know, lost an eye because of serving. I see how difficult it is to be a politician, to serve as officers. I think that the Rikers clearly, Jumaane did not take that into consideration for the incarcerated people and for the officers. I think it's very unsafe, not just for the officers, but for the people there on what they're trying to do with this bill.
So speaking of corrections, so your grandfather was an officer, how you feel about Jumaane being against the police? He's siding with radical organizations that are against the police. How you feel about that?
I think he's acting like a baby. You know, he experienced what is this stop and frisk, and he made a big tornado out of it and campaigned out of it. Jumaane, not only people in color get stop and frisk. Everybody does, as long as they feel that there is a danger. And as a woman, and as my child was experienced also being protected by the officer, I really support the officers with their job. I know how hard it is just to even if they're the ones who's right, how hard it is even just to protect normal citizens because of policies, because of advocates like you.
So how you feel, speaking of advocacy, how you feel about his policies that about real estate, about landlords? He's protecting criminals, the intro 632.
I don't know why Jumaane likes to protect criminals and put bills that will protect criminals and stop landlords from figuring out who are the bad guys out of these buildings. I don't know why you are protecting them. Are you their advocates for this? You want more people, you want more criminals to go out of New York City? Are you our criminal advocate, or are you New York City people advocate? I think you have to ask him why he's like that. I cannot answer because I think it doesn't make sense.
So people want to know what will you do different from Jumaane? What will you do different from Jumaane?
Oh. First of all, I'm not power hungry like him. So I think there's going to be a lot of differences here. I think he has been eaten by the hunger of votes. That's why even his own values and understanding is a little bit, shaken up. And I think that I will be a better advocate because my heart is for the people, and it is really my job to be non-partisan. Unlike him, he's politically motivated. Me, I just want to serve the people.
So, he has higher ambitions than for being mayor and governor. And speaking of this mayor, how do you feel about the Eric Gass situation? People might ask you how you feel about the Eric Gass situation, him being indicted for his alleged crimes, and how you feel about the news that broke yesterday about Jumaane with his campaign finance with Turkey. How you feel about that? His alleged campaign finance.
I will answer first the Mayor Adams, the situation, and I hope it gets finished right away. And I do hope that Mayor Adams' case does get acquitted. That is my hope and my wish for everybody in New York, so we can focus on it. I do like Mayor Adams a lot because he's doing a lot to protect the citizen, and I like peace and order. So my answer to that is I really hope he gets out of this and get acquitted, and we can continue, because number one, also I think that the New Yorkers want to be able to see this as just another storm that we will all come out of on a bright sunny day.
And the second one about Jumane's campaign finance situation.
So I did read about that, and what I did call him out as a hypocrite, and on that I think I was very vocal about it when I heard the news. He said, or his team said, that they will check and see what their violations were in the campaign. I think he knows very well what his violations were. It doesn't. You've been in politics and doing campaigns for 10 years, Jumani. I think you know very well that you violated the laws. When you took that 10,000, I think you know very well that that's more than your what is allowed to take. You're way above what you took, and you know that, and there's nothing to review. And you should know that. So stop messing with the people saying you have to review, because you don't need to review, because you know you're guilty.
Speaking of his past transgender, how you feel about today, since we're domestic violence awareness month, how you feel about Jumani Williams being in this domestic violence situation in 2009? How you feel about that, as much he's a big advocate for?
Domestic violence is, of course, something that a lot of women, even if they're silenced, are going through. And I personally would love to advocate for this based on my friends and personal experience. And when I heard the news about Jumani, attacking his girlfriend and getting arrested for it, I really felt more encouraged to run against you, Jumani, because you just kept this and did not even apologize. You just kept it as a secret. You should have just taken this thing that you did and tell the people you're sorry that you did it. And now that you have 2 stepdaughters, that you know how important it is to protect women. But no, you chose to keep it a secret. You are really nothing. You should not be a public advocate. You're a hypocrite. And you can't advocate for women, and you can't advocate for domestic violence, because you can't even face it yourself. Your own demons, you can't face it yourself.
And speaking of demons, how do you feel about him being a socialist, being this ultra progressive now, despite him being before conservative? Before he was one time a conservative Democrat, then he turned to a socialist.
Well, he's doing it, I think, because of the votes, right? His parties that he's with have a lot of influence in him, and since he knows he can't win without these parties, he's following them to even the extremists. It's very obvious that you can't win without him. That's why you're doing everything, even if it's wrong, and even if you're the only one doing it, you're gonna do it because you don't stand a chance with your own convictions. That's where it is. That's where it is. Not a lot of people in the domestic parties are so left and so socialist like you, but you are, because you're the one there who would take this bait. So, yeah.
And as public advocate, will you have your office open to everybody, despite him keeping his office closed majority of the time?
Yeah, I will have my office open for you too, Jumani. If you need my help on anything, you can come to my office.